Good morning, you're watching Market Cafe with me Shreyansi Singh and Snehi Shah on ET Now, and over the next 1 hour we'll take you through news and updates from within the country as well as across the globe. Good morning Snehi, looks like it's a largely muted handover coming in from the Wall Street.
Well, absolutely Shreyansi, a rather muted handover coming in. Good morning to you and a good morning to all our viewers as well. Let me take you through what the global handover is looking like, and let's start by looking at Wall Street because stock futures are near flat on Thursday night as investors looked ahead to the second in a pair of closely watched inflation reports this week. Remember, the consumer price index or the CPI data point came out yesterday, and today the focus is going to be on the producer price index or PPI. That's the second part of the inflation data that the street is awaiting today. Now, overall, we saw a muted day on Wall Street yesterday. The Dow inched up by around 15 points, S&P 500 finished marginally lower. The Nasdaq, however, closed absolutely at its flat line, not doing anything at all in trade yesterday. Now, investors focused on inflation data released on Thursday morning, and December's consumer price index came in modestly hotter than what economists had forecasted, with prices up 0.3% on the month and 3.4% from a year ago. We'll talk more about that later in the show as well. And well, let's also shift focus and talk about cryptocurrencies because that's been the hot space over the last 3 days. We've been highlighting the crypto moves early in the morning, and crypto related shares took a hit following the Security and Exchange Commission's approval of a rule change that paves the way for exchange traded funds connected to Bitcoin. Now, Riot Platforms, Marathon Digital, they all tumbled about 16% and 12% respectively in the session. Coinbase and MicroStrategy dropped more than 6% and 5% each. Bitcoin also managed to rally to a 2-year high level of 49,000 initially, but fizzled to close near 46,000 as its ETFs or exchange traded funds debuted yesterday. Now, on the week, the major averages are heading for modest gains. The Dow is up almost 0.7%, S&P 500 is tracking for almost a 1.8% at once, and the Nasdaq happens to be the outperformer out of all of these three indices, up more than 3% through Thursday's close. Also, let's shift focus and talk about some important earnings that we're going to be watching on Wall Street, and investors will be keeping a close eye on earnings report from major banks today, including JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, Bank of America and Wells Fargo due before the opening bell. So, well, this is what the US handover looks like. Rather flat, not much action happening over there. Shifting focus on the contrary, let's look at European markets because, well, Shreyansi, largely in the red, deep cuts coming for European markets because after a choppy session, the regional stock 600 index finished almost 1% lower as we speak, with all sectors in the red. What was in focus was Marks and Spencer because that fell towards the bottom of the stock 600, down 4.5% after pointing to near-term challenges as well. FTSE down almost 1%, DAX down almost 1% as well, CAC 0.5% down, Stock 600 almost 0.8% down as we speak. So, well, Shreyansi, rather muted when it comes to the US, but rather negative when it comes to European markets. But with that, let's also shift focus and talk about oil, because we've seen prices heat up in the oil space. So what's the latest happening over there?
Absolutely. So, this week we've seen a lot of volatility in that particular space. Currently, when you look at oil prices, they rose nearly 1% after Iran seized an oil tanker off the coast of Oman, raising the prospect of escalating conflict in the Middle East. Now, the WTI futures contract rose nearly 65 cents or nearly 1% to settle around that $72 a barrel mark. When you look at Brent futures as well, you're looking at gains coming in of about 0.8% thereabout, and it settled around that $77 a barrel mark. Earlier in that particular session, both benchmarks were up over $2 a barrel, but pulled back on an unexpected increase in US inflation, as well as reports that China was seeking less Saudi imports. Now, Iran seized a tanker with Iraqi crude destined for Turkey in retaliation for the confiscation last year of the same vessel and its oil by the US. The seizure of the Marshall Islands flagged St. Nicholas coincides with weeks of attacks by Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi militias targeting Red Sea shipping routes. So let's see how this pans out for the oil market.
Well, yes, we can expect some volatility from the oil markets. We just had flashes that said that the UK and US are also attacking these vessels and the Houthi militants in the Red Sea area. So well, we'll see how that pans out. But with that, let's also take stock of all the important events and data points that you need to be keeping your attention on today. And let's start by looking at some global cues because well, lots of data points trickling in today. You've got the UK GDP, industrial production as well as trade balance data coming in today. Shifting focus to the US, you've got the federal budget balance and the December PPI and core PPI like we talked about earlier. And China then, also CPI and PPI, so inflation figures from China will also be coming in along with its trade balance figures. And well, when we shift focus to corporate action, then you've got Nugent Software. That counter will be in focus because the company is going to announce its bonus issue today in the ratio of 1:1. So keep your eye out on that. And well, global earnings, like we mentioned earlier, lots of banks and other important companies coming out in the US with their global earnings today. And when we talk about the primary markets, the lock-in period is going to end for Senco Gold. 60.1% of their equity is going to come out of lock-in today, so watch out for that counter as well. And when it comes to other key events then, PM Modi is going to inaugurate two events today. The first is going to be in Mumbai, which is the Mumbai Trans Harbour Link. And the second one is going to be in Nashik, where he's going to be there to inaugurate the National Youth Festival. And when it comes to some global other events to watch out for, some key ones, you've got the FOMC member Neil Kashkari. He will be speaking today. And ECB chief economist Philip Lane will also be speaking today. So watch out for both of those commentaries as well. So well, Shayansi, action-packed day we can say, and lots of cues to watch out for.
Absolutely. There's a lot of data sets like you just highlighted as well. And the biggest data print that the market will be eyeing is definitely the US inflation print. Consumer prices have risen more than expected in December, suggesting that it may be too early for the Federal Reserve to start cutting interest rates. CPI rose about 0.3% last month after nudging up 0.1% in November. The cost of shelter, which includes rent, hotel and motel stays, as well as school housing, accounting for more than half of that particular increase in the CPI.
And meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund has said that the global economy is poised for a soft landing. It predicts that inflation across geographies will subside without causing a major recession. However, the IMF remains focused on the more vulnerable members of the global community as they recover from shocks such as the pandemic.
And shifting focus to commentary from key Federal Reserve officials, then Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester says that March will be too soon for the central bank to start on its rate-cutting path. On the other side, Chicago Fed President Austin Goolsbee, sounding more optimistic, has said that 2023 was a Hall of Fame year for falling inflation, paving the way for the central bank to start rate cuts as long as the trend continues.
And well, that was a roundup for the United States. Let's shift focus and look at other parts of the world because inflation in Argentina has zoomed past the 200% mark in December, and that's the highest level since the early 1990s. Now, the figures have taken Argentina past regional peer Venezuela along Latin American inflation outlier, where inflation cooled to an estimated 193% in 2023.
And bullish sentiment engulfs crypto traders after the US securities regulator approved Bitcoin ETFs. US listed Bitcoin ETFs witnessed a stellar 4.6 billion worth of shares trade hands on the first day itself. Taking cues from the bulls, Bitcoin briefly topped the $49,000 mark, scaling a two-year high, after which it gave up gains and settled below 46,000.
And well, shifting focus to some stock-specific action, tech giant Microsoft briefly overtook Apple as the most valuable company for the first time since 2021. This came in after the iPhone maker shares made a weak start to the year on growing concerns over demand.
While pain sees no end for global jet maker Boeing, Airbus has gone ahead and seized the day by reporting record annual jet orders, a solid jump of 11% in 2023. The company scaled roughly 2,300 orders versus 2,000 net order cancellations in the year. Sounding optimistic on the way forward, CEO said that they're confident of the delivery target of 75 A320 jets a month in 2026.
Well, that's a wrap on the most important global stories that we've been tracking for you bright and early this morning. So with that, we'll slip into a very short break on the show, but you don't go anywhere because when we return, we'll take a look at the Asian markets. So stay tuned. there, welcome back and thanks so much for staying tuned to ET Now. This is Market Cafe. Let's take a look at how the Asian Pacific markets have opened up this morning, and they were largely lower this morning except for Japan, which is continuing its record-breaking rally while investors awaited a slew of economic data out of China, including inflation and trade numbers for December. Let's start by looking at Nikkei then, because both the benchmark Nikkei and Topix are at their highest level since 1990, having surged in the past week. The Nikkei popped up almost 2% on open before pairing some gains, but still continues to trade above 1.2%, while the broader Topix was also up almost 0.5%. Shifting focus, let's talk about Australia, because Australia opened higher by 0.3%, opened lower by 0.3% and continues to, stay in the red territory, down almost 0.1% as we speak. And shifting focus to South Korea's Kospi, then that also slipped almost 0.2% on open, continues to be in the red, near the flat line, but in the red nonetheless. Let's shift focus and talk about China then, because we are getting CPI, PPI as well as trade data out of China today. So on the back of that, Hang Seng absolutely flat, not doing anything, a downtick of just 9 points coming in. And let's also take a look at what Shanghai is doing, and Shanghai nominally in the green, 6 points up, 0.2% uptick coming in on Shanghai as well. When we shift focus and talk about our markets, then yesterday we managed to close slightly below that 21,650 level, implied open at 21,704, indicating what could be a positive day for us in trade, Shreyansi, today. So let's see how that pairs out for us.
Absolutely. Let's see how that pans out for us as well. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. IT bellwethers TCS and Infosys kickstarted the earnings season. A steady show from both of these companies. Let's also hear out the commentary coming in from the managements of the companies.
There's no major change in the sentiment, like at least there's no on the ground. And am I disappointed? Yes, we definitely want to grow, we want to grow faster, and we expect that at least in our deal wins are good, as NG has pointed out. We are winning deals, so we're hoping the medium to long term it will recover.
Okay, point taken. NG, so are you hinting at $9 to $11 billion going forward in quarterly TCV or 8 to 10? And this year, of course, the double-digit growth is difficult, but are you ruling it out for FY25 as well? Because at least the base is a bit more favorable. And if the pickup does happen, you see a realistic potential of double-digit growth in FY25?
Our goal is to go and win every opportunity that comes our way. I don't want to put a number now, 8.1 or 5 points.
Of course, everybody wants to do the best, but realistically speaking, what do you...
I think it's good. As I said, we are extremely happy with the performance of our sales team. And 8.1 billion is in this quarter especially, it's a great performance. The qualified pipeline looks good. And this quarter, there's no mega deals, which means that mega deals are still maturing, right? So I think we are happy where we are, and I think, wait to hear from us more, right?
Any word in terms of double-digit growth possibility in FY25?
As I said, look, this business, opportunity is there, demand is there. There will be constraints like what we are facing today, and there are uncertainties. So we have to weigh in all of this. And then see whether we can improve our market share in this kind of situation. I think we are happy that we are increasing our market share wherever it presents ourselves. And overall, compared to last quarter to this quarter, I think in select areas we have improved our market share. Our focus is going to be increasing our market share in this kind of conditions.
We are continuing to hire. We hired a good number of trainees, good number of people from the market, and even in this quarter. So we will continue to hire, but, depending on the overall situation and including our own investment we made, we continue to rip off on that investment and, drive efficiency, as Samir said. And as a result, if the headcounts becomes negative as a result, then so be it.
We see the outlook in essence quite similar. But the guidance is tightened. That's how we're seeing it. Based on what we've seen in the first 3 quarters, where our growth has been 1.8% in constant currency terms over the previous year's 3 quarters. And that's really all we've done with the guidance. At this stage, we have not seen any different behavior from clients. Typically, As you know well, Q3 is a quarter with large furloughs and other end of year holidays, and that we've seen continue. We've not seen either an increase or either a decrease, so the same sort of a view.
Well, that's the word coming in from the top bosses at TCS and Infosys after their quarter 3 numbers came out yesterday. But let's shift focus from earnings to aviation then, because the new year has brought in new offers. After the busy festive quarter, airlines are now offering discounts to flyers in a seasonally weak quarter. My colleague Somit is joining in with more details on this. Somit, good morning. Take it away.
Well, the period of airline companies announcing sales has now just started. Now, Indigo, Vistara, Air India, Express have announced their first online schemes for booking air tickets for 2024. Now, for Indigo, if you see, the fares are now starting at around 1,799. Obviously, this is on some specific routes and specific timing wise. For Vistara, if you see, the fares are starting from 1,809, and for Air India Express as well, the fares are starting from 1,799 rupees. Now, Street is expecting more such schemes to follow in the coming months or in the coming days. Now, this is because Q4 of FY24 or Q4 for any of the financial year is generally a seasonally weak quarter for any airline company's travel. Tourist air traffic is usually lower in this quarter for any airline company. Now, if you see the initial trends, that they are also suggesting the same thing. Now, so far in the month of January, if you see, the average daily domestic air traffic has come down to 4.29 lakh from 4.46 lakh that we have seen in the month of December 2023. Now, apart from this, in fact, if you see the air ticket prices have also come down. Now, we checked the air ticket prices for 7-day forward and 2-month forward for the top 20 routes in India, and what we are understanding from that is that air ticket prices have come down for 15 out of the top 20 routes in India. Now, the routes for the 7-day forward, if you see, the airfares have come down the most for the Delhi-Kolkata route by around 23%, followed by Patna-Delhi by around 22%. Apart from that, there's Delhi-Bangalore, Delhi-Pune and Bangalore-Delhi, where routes have where prices have come down anywhere between 13 to 16%. And when it comes to 2-month forward bookings, we have seen the highest decline in airfare when it comes to the Mumbai-Kolkata route, around 20% decline in the air ticket prices on that route. Apart from that, there is Bangalore-Mumbai and Kolkata-Delhi, where ticket prices have come down by around 13 to 19%. And then there is Mumbai-Bangalore and Bangalore-Delhi, again where ticket prices have come down by around 11 to 12% for 2-month forward bookings, if you see.
Absolutely, Somit. So that's about the airfares roundup coming in. But stay with us for now, because we want to take a closer look at the mutual fund activity for the month of December as well. Where are you seeing mutual funds adding the most exposure, and what did fund managers buy and sell?
Well, if you see, in the month of December, mutual funds have deployed close to 16,970 crore rupees in the Indian secondary market. Now, this number is higher compared to what we saw in the previous month. But if you remove the NFO amount, then actually the number is lower at around 10,640 as compared to 13,600 that we had seen in the month of November. Now, exposure-wise, if you see, mutual fund companies have added exposure in industrials, utilities, metal and mining, and oil and gas space, while they have reduced their exposure in financials, discretionary, auto and healthcare. And the cash level of the mutual fund have also come down drastically from around 4.9% seen in the month of November to close to 4% in the month of December. Now, when it comes to stock specific idea, among large cap mutual funds have been continuously adding Zomato and GAIL to their portfolio, while on the sell side, mutual funds use the rally in BEL, NTPC and IOCL as an opportunity to exit these counters. Also, HDFC Bank continues to remain one of the top sellers for mutual funds despite the cheaper valuations that we have been talking about when it comes to HDFC Bank. Among mid caps, if you see, mutual funds have been continuously adding Vodafone Idea to their portfolio, and despite the more than 30% run up that we had seen when it comes to SAIL and GMR airports, mutual funds did not shy away from adding more shares in these two counters. On the sell side, if you see, 4 out of the top 5 selling counters are PSUs, that is PFC, HPCL, NHPC and RAC. So it seems like mutual funds have been using the rise in the PSUs as an opportunity to exit the PSU counters. In small caps, if you see, Piramal Pharma is one stock that mutual funds have been continuously adding to their portfolio. And apart from the Hudco, apart from that, if you see, Hudco, now that stock was up nearly 47% in the month of December, but mutual funds still did not shy away from adding more shares in that counter. And on the sell side, if you see, Suzlon has been one stock on the sell radar for mutual funds, as they've been continuously selling this counter for the last 2 consecutive months, while NLC India, which was up around 49% in the month of December, mutual funds have used that as an opportunity to exit this counter in the month of December.
Well, Swami, thanks so much for taking us through that quick roundup. Now let's shift focus, and it's D-Day for the Trans Harbour Link in Mumbai, which is the longest sea bridge in the country at almost 22 kilometers. The Atal Setu Bridge will be inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi, and this bridge will help reduce a journey of 2 hours to just 20 minutes. My colleague Aishwarya is joining in from ground to talk about what this bridge means for the landscape of Mumbai. Aishwarya, good morning. Take it away.
Good morning. In just 2 hours from now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be flying down from Delhi to Nashik. He has a packed schedule in Maharashtra today, starting off with Nashik. He will then, around this afternoon, by 3, he will arrive in Mumbai and go to the MTHL bridge to inaugurate the bridge, of course. Talking about the bridge specifically, we've done multiple ground reports in the past about the bridge. It's a 22-kilometer long bridge. There are 6 lanes. And the amazing part is that it will be joining Mumbai to Navi Mumbai on the Shivri to Ulve route in just 22 minutes. Now, what you need to understand is Navi Mumbai earlier was considered from Airoli onwards towards Panvel, but the exteriors, the outskirts are now increasing as we speak, because a little bit of Raigad, which involves Uran and Ulve, will also be known to be part of Navi Mumbai now, which also has Kharghar and the regions around. So the area of Navi Mumbai has increased. Although people from Ulve will be able to go to Mumbai in 22 minutes, Vashi will still be a little far off, and maybe people will use the Vashi bridge to ferry to and fro to Mumbai. So overall, it is good news for people who stay close to Panvel, Ulve, etc. But for the people who are still living in the older part of Navi Mumbai, many of them are excited because this is India's longest sea bridge, which is 22 kilometers long. If we talk about the construction, it was built in 3 phases by 3 different entities. The first package was built by LT and IHI. The second package was built by Daewoo and TPN. And the third package, which is on the Navi Mumbai side, the bridge near Chile, was built by L&T alone. Now, you talk about this particular bridge. The Maharashtra cabinet, in fact, announced earlier that 250 rupees will be the toll charge for a single travel on this particular bridge for 4-wheelers. As far as the heavy vehicles are concerned, and considering that ONGC, the Bombay Port Trust, these companies will be using, their cargoes and trucks will be moving through this particular bridge. So it's going to be a lot of convenience for companies as ONGC and Bombay Port Trust as well. But they still haven't declared what the toll charges will be for the heavy vehicles or the larger vehicles. Apart from that, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also be going to Navi Mumbai International Airport post the MTHL bridge, and that's the whole picture that you will see throughout the day today.
Thank you so much, Aishwarya, for that update coming in. We'll definitely be keeping an eye. So just 2 hours to go. But let's also take a look at what's on brokerage radar this morning. And you have Macrotech that is on Jefferies radar. They're maintaining a buy with a target of about 1,290. And in terms of commentary coming in, they're saying that the 4,300 plus acre land bank is well placed to benefit. They're talking about land prices, and they're saying that they doubled in 3 years. And in terms of the long-term growth plans, they're saying that they see a potential upside in the long term. And in terms of the housing policy as well, Jefferies is saying that affordable housing policy is also set to boost residential sales. And that is the kind of uptick that they're seeing for Macrotech, Snehi.
Well, absolutely. This bridge is absolutely going to affect and, positively impact Macrotech as well, among other developers. So let's move on and let's take a look at the action that we were getting in from the Vibrant Gujarat Summit. Because on the second day of the summit, while addressing a session at GIFT City, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman spoke about how the Indian stock market has been benefiting the small retail investors. Listen into what she had to say.
story which is worth remembering 21st century again when we are talking about GIFT. Can IFSCA can become the threshold for India is the retail participation in stock. Time when global funds were also being received, when investments were happening through mutual funds, which is the feature of India in the last 20, 30 years, investors, small retail investors, found it convenient to directly get onto the stock markets and participate. And this happened during the COVID year. And post that, that momentum is also keeping up. So our Indian stock markets were actually benefiting from the retail investor cushion which was available for them, that they could actually ward off all the fluctuations which were happening in the flow of funds globally. We did not, our stock markets did not really have too much of a volatile going up and down because of the comfort Indian retailers have given, Indian retail investors have given our stock markets.
Well, that's the word coming in from the finance minister, but let's switch focus to Paytm then. And IFSCA is greenlighting operations for Paytm in Gift City. My colleague Anurag Joshi had an exclusive conversation with Paytm CEO Vijay Shekhar Sharma. Listen in to that conversation.
So Gift City is the impeccable place where the global access to the market and domestic technology fuse together, and it is truly visionary that the opportunity of building something in Gift City and then taking it elsewhere is coming up. So IFSCA, the regulator of Gift City, will allow us and give us permission, so we would in due course apply different things, while right now we are building a technology out of Gift City that would solve one of the biggest problem left in the payments, which is a global cross-border remittances systems. Because as you notice that there was a time when local payments were not possible, very cheap and cost-effective way, and everybody was not possible. And today that is true about the international cross-border payments. India being the biggest beneficiary and one of the largest incoming money coming in India is from the rest of the world, $125 billion. It is also the large cost as Indians, whether Indian diaspora people outside or Indians in domestic, we pay it. So it is not just an opportunity, in my opinion, to build a technology. It is also an opportunity for India to leverage the capability of Indians.
And vibrant Gujarat, what kind of a game changer will this summit be for fintechs? Your thoughts, sir?
Well, the best part I can tell you about Vibrant Gujarat is it is truly vibrant with entrepreneur energy. It is truly the place of entrepreneurs. This is the first port of being an entrepreneur in the country, and this is the place where we are talking with the technology and finance services, which is what as a gift city it offers. So Vibrant Gujarat is the potent mix of ability, capability, and an opportunity that India offers in finance.
All right, that's the word coming in from Paytm's Vijay Shekhar Sharma. But with that, we'll slip into a very short break. When we return, more stock-specific news and updates on the other side. Stay tuned.
Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Wipro and HCL Tech are also all set to announce their Q3 results. Let's also go across to Anisha to get a sense of what the street is penciling in.
Well, yes, after TCS and Infosys, all eyes will be now on HCL Tech and Wipro. And for HCL Tech, we are looking at an exceptionally strong quarter. 5% growth is what we are expecting, but this is because it is a seasonally strong quarter when it comes to the products and platform business, and that is expected to drive a double-digit growth in that segment. The services segment too is also expected to ramp up by 3 to 5%, and that's because the impact of Verizon deal will come into play, as well as ASAP acquisition will have a 2 to 3 month impact on the revenues. The margins are expected to be pretty much flat because the wage hike pressure will get negated by the top line growth, hopefully. So we are expecting margins to be stable at 18.4%. The profitability is expected to jump up by 7%. On the guidance fronts, Morgan Stanley expects that the company might moderate the revenue growth guidance from 5 to 6% on a consolidated basis to 4.5 to 5%. So let's watch out for that. Other than that, the margin guidance is expected to be maintained at 18 to 19%, and the management commentary regarding the scale up of acquisition, large deal, and the entire calendar year 24 outlook will be important to watch. For Wipro, however, it will be a different story altogether. For Wipro, we are expecting another weak quarter to come by. Revenue is expected to decline on a constant currency basis by 2.5 to 3%. The margins are expected to slide by almost 40 basis points. That is because the impact of the wage hike will come in through at least for a couple of months. So we are going to watch out for that. Order intake too is going to be towards the lower end of the average that we have seen in the last 5 to 8 quarters. So perhaps somewhere around $3.5 billion is what we are expecting. For Q4 going forward, the consensus seems to be that guidance will be a -1% to +1% kind of growth. However, there are people on the street which are expecting even a 1.5 to 2% kind of decline on the Q4 guidance front. Headcount trends will be fairly important to track because for Wipro, we have been seeing that there has been a consistent decline in headcount. Whether that continues, a word on the top level changes because of the latest litigation which has happened around the CFO will be important to track, and then overall commentary about margin recovery as well as the BFSI vertical will be important to track. So overall, good set from HCL Tech, but weak one from Wipro.
Well, thanks Anisha for taking us through what we can expect from HCL Tech and Wipro's numbers today. We will be keeping a close eye on both of those counters. With that, we are out of time on this week's edition of Market Cafe. From me, Snehi Shah, my co-anchor Shreyanshi Singh and the team that put this show together, thanks so much for watching. You stay tuned to the channel. The market takes all the action ahead.